Hello, everyone. My camera froze. Let me fix that. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Cohere trivia competition, where you are able to win some Cohere credits if you are the first place. So I can see we have some viewers, more viewers on Twitch than in the competition right now. So please use the link, this ahaslide.com/nnglz and join the competition. And please use your Discord nickname so we can then see who we can contact if you win, of course. So let's wait a couple of minutes more. And to the people that already joined, please invite your teammates. So it will be more fun if we have more people in this competition. I will paste the link in the chat, so it will be easier for you to join us. Oh, actually on Twitch you can click it. On Discord it wasn't possible to click. Do I see your nickname 2 times, Olesia?
Yeah. I just changed the browser window, so I needed to make it.
Okay, so let's wait a couple of minutes more and we start. I would tag the people on Discord also again, so we'll be sure that they don't miss this great opportunity.
How many credits will person get for one the competition?
I think like 300.
Okay. That's great.
Okay, so after the competition, we'll have a Q&A session with Mathias and Simon Olsen. So Paweł won't be joining. Instead, Simon will be joining.
Great. He also had very good experience in investment space, so he has what to tell to us. That's great.
Yes. How are we doing with the...
Yeah, one more.
One more minute and we start?
I meant one more person, but yeah. Let's do it in 1 more minute. Another one. So people are joining. Okay.
But this is a person? This emoji? Cat?
Yeah.
These 2 cats?
Or it's a cat, I don't know. Maybe cat also want to.
I think it's a nickname, but I won't be able, if this person wins, I won't be able to recognize. But maybe it's someone from our team. But if you want to win this trivia competition, please use your Discord nickname, so we know that you won. Okay, so we have 3 people now. Good. That's very good.
Okay. I guess our camera stopped.
Yes, sorry, I minimized the window and I shouldn't do that. Thank you for letting me know. Okay, it's 8 p.m. 35 minutes after. So let's start. And I will press start the quiz. Are you ready? First question. Okay, question.
Okay.
What architecture are large language models based on?
Have no idea. Okay.
Transformer or
Very good that we both are like marketers and
yes, we can't even tell which one
nice
is
questions.
the correct one. So Transformer or LSTM? Please answer. 8 seconds.
No time to Google.
I froze the window again.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
Transformer, cool. Okay, next. Okay, I don't get it why
me too.
our cameras freeze all the time. So
it's not a big problem, I guess, but I see that.
Okay, maybe this way it will be better. Yeah. Okay. How do
Is it finished? Or?
How do I go to the next question?
It seems like the quiz are finished.
What happened? Sorry.
Now you know the correct answer to the first question. So
why he got 45 points? Why this competition was at the?
Okay, it's from the beginning, right?
Okay, sorry, I don't know how.
Okay, now you know the correct answer. How many labels examples are needed to create a finitude? How to pronounce it?
How many
fine-tuned model?
To create a fine-tuned model.
Fine-tuned. Okay, thank you. How many examples? Wow. Okay.
Okay. So no. Arjun, you need to do it again. I'm sorry. if you answered all your questions, you need to answer it again because there was some mistake on our side. Okay. So the correct answer is 2050. Congratulations to everyone that answered correct.
So we have the same. Okay.
Next. Question 2 of 15. What were the 3 Cohere products used during LabLab.ai hackathons?
Okay, it's nice. I like it. It's good when you're organizer of the hackathon.
Yes,
so
I think we know the answer to this question.
It's not the hardest one.
So is it generate, embed, classify? GPT-3, DALI, classify. Maybe there were no products on our hackathons.
Maybe there was no hackathons. Yeah.
Congratulations. Yes, it is generate, embed, and classify.
That's good.
Okay.
Okay, I'm still on the last place. It's visible who is not developing.
Okay, sorry. Guys, I need to restart it. I'm sorry. I need to clear responses, and because this is my mistake. It's the first. You need to understand me. It's the first time I'm using this tool, and right now it is the final. So that ones were just it was the preview of the whole thing, and now. This is now we're doing it for real. So yes, please join one more last time.
Now you should be happy because you know a few correct answers already. Yes. So it will be easier to win and
exactly. Okay, so we have everyone that's speedy. We have So we have even more players now. Good.
Cool.
I like it.
Higher competition.
Okay, let's start it one last time. Now, okay. What?
What does Cohere classify do?
Wait.
What?
Now it was third out of 15. I'm sorry, I don't understand how this tool works. Yes, first question.
Cool.
My heart.
Classify how many labels examples are needed to create a fine-tuned model. So I guess for people who was on the previous one know the correct answer.
Yes, but I think some people joined, so let's make okay, everyone answered. Cool.
Okay.
Why Arjun has 46 points already?
Because he do it the fastest way, so.
So he doesn't have to wait. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What were the 3 Cohere's products used during Lab AI hackathons?
Yes. Some people already saw the answer.
Okay, so you will do it as faster you will do it, as higher mark you will have. Okay, got it.
Okay.
You have this 50 points per answer, so you may have higher number if you will do it quickly. What does Cohere's classify do?
Oh, difficult. Organizes information based on its contents. Creates definitions. Rewrites text keeping its original meaning. Summarizes text. Okay, everyone answered correctly.
Okay.
Okay, let's go. Let's see. What is the current theme of the hackathon? Embed, whisper, classify.
I need to Google this. Probably.
Classify. Wow. Okay. A lot of points for 4 questions, I feel like.
What does Cohere generate do?
Copywriting tasks, paraphrases text, extracts data, or summarizes text.
Okay.
Everything was correct.
Okay.
Wow. Okay, Arjun on the first place again.
Are you a Speedy or who is this fox?
I don't know. I'm not here. Where is Cohere headquartered? Seattle, USA, San Francisco, USA, Montreal, Canada, Toronto, Canada. Toronto, Canada. Okay. Actually, a lot of people didn't know this answer. Question 7 out of 15. When was Cohere officially launched?
I really have no idea.
2015, maybe 2017, 2019 or 2021. Anyone has answered 2021, 2 answers, 3 answers 2019.
Yeah. So they launched the company like a year ago, and it's already like quite popular model.
I actually don't know if it's a correct answer, but okay. This doesn't seem.
Who founded Cohere?
Okay, who founded Cohere? Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk? Maybe. Aidan Gomez, Ivan Zhang, and Nick Frost. Okay. Everyone knew the answer.
Ivan Zank was on previous Cohere, right? No, on the first one, Cohere.
Yes,
as
and
a speaker.
Aidan Gomez was also before.
Which major tech company partnered with Cohere at late 2021?
Wow. Who knows the answer? It is difficult.
It is. Okay. Yeah.
Google.
Let's Google.
Okay. Question 10 out of 15. Cohere builds for everyone who wants to use NLP to make our digital lives easier and more productive. What does NLP stand for? Natural language processing, non-lethal products, native language programs. Correct, natural language processing. Okay, and is it the last question? No, it's 11 out of 15.
We have more.
Does Cohere provide API for language processing? So it will be yes or no. Everyone has answered.
Oh.
Yes. Correct. Everyone are correct. Question 12 out of 15. Do we need to have any machine learning background to build with Cohere API?
Even I know the answer for this question. We had amazing interviews today. No. We had amazing interviews today, and a lot of people was talking that it's very easy to use when you even don't have like a special background in data science and machine learning. What else models? Okay. Is Cohere API based on? Okay.
That is okay. Both were correct. GPT-3 and BERT. The more you know. Okay. Question 14 out of 15. What are the biggest use cases for Cohere API at the moment? Content moderation, customer support, copy generation, search.
Okay.
Content moderation, customer support. Zero. No one knew. No. Okay. Last question.
What architecture the large language models based on? Okay.
Okay. I guess
for the most patient people, it was the easiest question.
Yes. I guess. Okay, and let's see who won. I will write down the nicknames. So
yeah, who?
I don't know who is Speedy. I didn't saw anyone like that on Discord, so I need to check. So first place Arjun, Amir.
36
/
4980 yeah.
Second and
Speedy
third
and
Speedy, but I need to add. I feel like someone from our team could be Speedy, so I need to confirm that who's Speedy. But I don't know. I need to check. And Night, yes. Fourth. Okay, great. Congratulations, Arjun. Very nice, very good reflexes. So we are exactly 10 minutes before Q&A session. So please don't go anywhere. We'll be back shortly with Q&A session about how to get funding for a project. It's really interesting and I really recommend to stay here and prepare some questions. So be right back in 10 minutes. Hello, welcome back to our stream, Q&A session about how to find funding for your startup. So Simon will talk for 15 minutes about it, and then there will be time for Q&A session. So please write down your questions in the chat, and we'll read it out loud to Simon. Yes, so the stage is yours.
Thank you. Appreciate if you could moderate the question as well as they come in, and then we can just pick them up whenever, and I'll try to answer us at my best knowledge. So I'll give you some background here. I'm part of the management team here at NewNative and LabLab we're trying to build out the innovation capabilities when it comes to AI and make sure that more people can build with AI more easily. But I have a background as an entrepreneur and I'm an energy engineer by trade. Had my first company out of MIT's accelerator program in Boston, and then basically worked with a lot of accelerator programs in the States and Bay Area for the better part of 8 years now. The sole purpose of these kinds of programs is really to prep you for venture capital or the ability to fund your startup in a good way. And so I've seen a lot of companies that's made it and a lot of companies that hasn't made it, and I've invested in some of both myself. So I'll try to give you a perspective from a VC, right? So what do investors actually look at in terms of startups? From my perspective, there are a couple of things that you usually look at when you try to evaluate a startup as an investor or a venture capitalist. The first question that you should probably ask yourself is, why do you need the money, right? Because the rationale behind why you need money will dictate what money you'll actually end up getting. If it's just money for money's sake, then you'll probably just bring along any investors. But if it's smart money that you're after, then there's a little bit of a different kind of process. And something to keep in mind is that most money comes with different kinds of strings attached to it. So like if you're going after VC, then the expectation on you as a startup is really to build the next monster, becoming sort of a 100x in 6 to 10 years time. And that's kind of hard to do, especially when it comes to the valuations of today's startups. In the US, the average valuation of a startup is somewhere around $10 million getting out of Y Combinator. That's pretty much the standard. But imagine you'll 100x that in 6 years. The question really is your idea, is the thing that you're working on really that scalable? And if it's not, then you need to sort of reconfigure and think about what other kinds of sources of capital can I attract. Private equity is another alternative, right? Where you don't have the same kind of expectations on returns. So it's not a 100x, but probably more like 5 to 10x in a 5-year time horizon. But all the same, it comes with other kinds of strengths to it. Like it's important to build fundamentals rather than evaluate the actual future value or future success of your company. So it's a different way to think about it, especially also if you're trying to attract either smaller kinds of tickets or smaller kinds of investors, because then it becomes even more important to have some kind of traction. But if we just rewind a little bit and we think about let's say that you're trying to attract VC, what do VC actually look for? I'd say that most VCs look for a combination of three things. It's the kind of perfect team, it's the perfect kind of market or market fit, and then it's the perfect kind of traction. And all of those three means different things depending on the space. But since you're sort of in AI and sort of in the deep tech space, you would assume that the market is kind of ripe as of now. It's one of the largest or fastest growing markets in the world. But if we consider the first factor, like team, so what does a good team look like? Well, it's important to have some kind of traction and some kind of background in the field. And most of the people that are part of our community here has a good background in terms of being technically capable of building stuff and understanding how things work. And as a benchmark, you'd say that most startups today, they don't really know how to build stuff. They have an idea and they're trying to push for it, and they assume that the technology will work itself out. But that's not really the thing that you want to hear as an investor. You want to hear that these guys can build it. These guys are perfect. And usually what we look at is first and foremost brand names. So if you have any big brand names in your team, highlight that. Make sure that speaks for itself, because it's something that it's easy sort of to look at and feel like, yeah, this is a quality mark. When it comes to composition of teams, we look for preferably 2 or 3 founders, not more than 4. And the reason for that is because if you're getting more than 4 founders for a startup, then it usually means a complex decision hierarchy. And you don't really want that, because you want to know who's in charge and who makes the final decisions. So the ideal is between 2 and 3. Same on the lower end, right? We don't just want a single founder, because that decreases the probability of that company becoming a success statistically. Same goes for sort of the age span. We want people who knows what it means to build something of quality and who knows what it means to build it fast. So those are the 2 most important factors that we're trying to figure out when it comes to team. And see that repeat entrepreneurs or repeat builders have a lot higher success rate of getting to a unicorn or a big scale up, essentially. So that's something that you could bear in mind if you reverse engineer what I'm saying. If you are a solo founder, then find someone else who has that kind of background that would really make it super interesting for investors. If we move on to the second factor, which is the market, well, it's pretty obvious that the AI market is growing super fast, and it will replace a lot of the work that is being done out there, whether it's in terms of developing new applications or replacing truck drivers. I mean, it will have a vast impact on most jobs, blue and white collar jobs in society today. And so it's really about finding the perfect kind of niche for your technology and the problem you're really trying to solve. The problem needs to be big enough so it's scalable, so that we know that it could become a unicorn in the end, even though you haven't really figured out the monetization model. And it needs to be niche enough so we know that you actually can execute on your idea. So you need to start small, but then be able to scale it to something bigger quite quickly. And so there are plenty of good examples of this. Like if you're considering building or using a transformer for, let's say, the DALL-E as an example, if you're trying to build the next design agency, the idea of a market fit would be to figure out what is the smallest kind of market that you could get a monopoly at. So if you're trying to do a design agency using DALL-E 3, for instance, then you'd probably need to narrow that down. Is it like who will actually buy your service? Is it dentists in Colombia, or is it paralegals in Poland, or whatever it is? You need to sort of be very niche in terms of the market, because that will get you to a core need where you can then understand how you can become unique in the market. So that's really important to know really where you're starting at and how that position is scalable moving forward. Finally, the third thing is traction, right? So if you can show me that you've built something that actually works and not just a PowerPoint, that becomes very, very tangent for me very quickly. And especially if you can show that your client base or community or users are growing month over month, that becomes very, very interesting for me as well, because then I know that what you're building has inherent value and people want to use what you're building. And so if you can sell me the story of attraction, then I'll be interested in listening to it. So those are the 3 main components that most VCs look at. When it then comes to a first meeting, usually what we advise a lot of promising startups to do is to just shortlist 20 investors that you think have the right kind of background, the right kind of value add for your startup. Because you remember, it's not about just attracting money, it's about finding the right general partner at the right firm that can support you with something more than just money. And so usually good advice is to shortlist 20 GPs from funds that you align with. And remember that most of the VC firms have their own kind of unique investment thesis. And so some may only invest in the Northern Europe region that only does hardware tech. Some may be global investors, but only do manufacturing or finance, for instance. And some may just be, the bigger one may just be tech agnostic, market or industry agnostic. So it's important to sort of find the right kind of fit for you. Once you've done that, if you shortlist those 20, a good way to sort of proceed is to, do some LinkedIn stalking, try to get in contact with them, try to see who they know that you could get in contact with. A good first step is to find an advisor that has an in to these partners that could introduce you in a good way. So when it comes to figuring that out, it requires some LinkedIn searches basically to figure out how to get in contact with these general partners. But once you're there, it's just about trying to reach out, try not to oversell what you're making. Try to make it very neat and easy to understand. So the first thing that you could do once you're prepared to start to do a reach out is to prepare a blurb. And a blurb is basically a paragraph that describes what you're doing, how much traction you have, and why this is important. So this is what I do. I build an AI deployment platform. This is how much traction we have. This is what's unique about it. And then just send it away and see if there's an interest. And usually you'll get a response, given if you have an intro from someone they know, then most people will respond to that. And that gives you an opportunity to be able to follow up with a pitch deck. And the most fundamental parts of a pitch deck you can find any pitch deck template online, but I usually propagates towards Y Combinator's pitch decks, and there are plenty of seed, Series A kind of pitch decks that displays what you're doing in terms of traction, displays what you're doing in terms of team and in terms of market fit. That makes it easy to read. It falls within the sort of template. And something to just keep in mind when you're doing those kinds of pitches is to keep to the template, because most investors or VCs, they get approached by 100 different companies each week. So it's hard to understand what you're doing if you're diverting from the norm too much. So ideally, you'd like a good introduction from a trusted advisor from their end, and then also sort of keep to the story and then show that you have good traction and what you're solving is actually worth solving for. Then we've sort of ended up in terms of, when you've all done all the sendouts and when you send these pitch decks, you usually end up with a first meeting. And in the first meeting, you'll get 20 to 30 minutes tops to just do your case, pitch your case, and then see what kind of response there is. And really what people are trying to figure out is, like, number one, what are you actually making that's unique? And how scalable is it? That's basically the only two things that people or VCs will want to understand. And in the back of their mind, they're thinking, okay, can this really be 100x from the current valuation? Or is this just a 5x or a 10x? Because then it's not as interesting. So an important thing for you is to figure out, how do you actually display that story? How do you become from where you are now to that really big company? And there are no rights and wrongs to these questions, but it needs to be within reason, so that it's not like major logical leaps in your reasoning, because that'll make people or investors will dwell into those details, and then they'll sort of shop your argument up and try to understand if what you're saying is actually, well, first and foremost, true, and then secondly, believable. From there on, it's pretty straightforward. It's about trying to find legal support, trying to find the final sort of negotiating terms and whatnot. But yeah, it's rarely that you'll get the opportunity to sort of say that this is how much my startup is valued at. On the other hand, it's usually up to the lead investor that will come in and ask for, this is what I think your company's worth. This is how much money that I'm willing to give you. But you need to have a pretty good idea when you go into those kinds of negotiations, what kind of valuation or what kind of money are you looking at. So let's say that you're raising, $1 million for simplicity's sake. Usually that means a dilution of like 15 to 10% or 10 to 15%, something in those ranges. So like if we say 10%, then your company is inevitably valued to $10 million, right? So it really depends on how much money you're raising and what you need the money for. And just as a rule of thumb, that money that you're trying to raise for, whether it's pre-seed, probably a little lower than $1 million, or seed, which is probably a little higher than $1 million. A good rule of thumb is to think about it like the money needs to be adequate to cover your cost to build out what you're building for about 18 months. So that would be the general sort of rule of thumb. Sometimes they can go quicker, and it depends on whether you're in seed or in pre-seed, and if you've actually found out a problem that is worth solving, or if you are still at prototyping stage. So if we think about, prototyping stage, then what you'd raise money for is really to finish the prototype to an MVP and then place it in the market and see what happens to it. See if you can get traction. If you're in seed, then it's about trying to figure out the MVP and see if you can get more traction faster. If you can really sell the story of traction, then you can get more money, and so you'll do another round to dilute yourself even further, but then be able to actually scale it to a market where you can start to first dominate the niche market that you're in, and then start to dominate domestic market, and then probably an international market, and then a global market. So that's the way to sort of think about it. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for now. It's a little bit of a crash course to what to think about when you're raising money, and just to sort of circle back to the original advice. Don't sell too cheap, and don't, be sure that you know what you're using the money for, because sometimes the best alternative is just to bootstrap yourself and not take in money, even though you can get it, just because it comes with a lot of strings attached depending on the investors. But regardless, sometimes it can actually help you. Sometimes it's more than just money. Sometimes it's the actual advice that you can get from these investors to scale your business faster. And if you start by doing these first sort of steps, then I think you'd be on a good way to figure out your round as of now. And obviously, if you need any help, we are here to be able to support you if you have any questions or thoughts or specific things that you want to discuss.
Great, thank you for that.
Yeah, I think we have some questions, right, Paweł?
Yes, shall I read it now?
Yeah, sure.
Great.
Yeah, go for it.
So, do you have any advice on getting intros or developing connections to access investors, common networking practices, etc.?
Yeah, sure. I mean, a good. I think something that I like to do, and I know that successful startups try to do, is to find the most capable person in the niche that you're in, whether that's a professor or celebrity or whatever, right? To reach those kinds of people and just, be bold and ask, could we have a chat about this? I think that, it's within your space. It's something that I believe will change a lot of lives or change the roles of dentists or whatever in the world, to just, get a foot in the door, because that will unlock some insights into things that you probably didn't know about that target audience from the first place. And then you can sort of iterate. So when I started out from MIT, an advice that I got was really just to find those kind of super creators or super people in this industry, and just try to talk to them, see if they can give you some insight, whether that's an interview or just a phone call, and then ask them to see if we would be willing to guide you a little further. And then you sort of need to develop that relationship as you go. So it's not something that you could, just send out and ask, can you make an intro? Because that probably render a no. It's a little bit more on the sort of human side. You need to work on that and work up the relationship to a point where they feel engaged in what you're doing and feel that what you're doing is worth doing.
Yeah, great answer on it. And I feel a bit from personal experience that also like once you get far enough with whatever you're building and it's starting to become great, then suddenly kind of that network starts to happen also because people become interested about it and they start to talk with others. So people often say network is everything, but then we always wonder, okay, but how do I get that network? But then in the end you realize, okay, network is super important, but it doesn't happen by itself. It kind of comes as we are progressing forward.
Yeah, when I tried to do my first fund, I mean, I talked to 300 people, 300 different meetings in like 4 months, just to get a sense of who should I talk to, who should I be in contact with in order to make this happen. And that's a lot of meetings. It's like 12-hour days with meetings. It's a lot of hard work, but it renders a really good network, and you'll know the ropes by then if what you're doing is worth, or if you should pivot into something else.
Okay, we have next question. What are some signs that you should give up on a given startup endeavor? Typical signals, maybe you have some.
Okay, so typical signals on when to give up. I never give up on stuff, right? I wouldn't know. I just keep on working till it works itself out, or until I've found something that is worth solving. So like, I think that it needs to figure out whether you really, if you have it to be able to build it, then you just need to work on it long enough till you feel like this is it, or this is something that I need to sort of pivot a little bit in terms of business model, in terms of problem or whatnot. But in the end, it's just about finding your own way. So it's not about just quitting like you would in any other job. It's keep on batting at it until you find what's right for you.
So iterate.
Yeah, and I can just agree on what Simon's saying. Like often what you can see with people that I guess there are two sides of this coin. Like either you are trying to do something and you are one of the few that seen this at this point. So you see a big opportunity, others doesn't see it, and this is often a great thing. And we can see people that kind of continued on these things that nobody believed in, and then it became like super big, regardless if that is like Skype or Harry Potter, basically. So I guess if it's like if there is and a rainbow somewhere there, and you believe there really is something big, people should just continue. However, if you're doing like, I would say, let's take some bad example, but like some kind of service or e-commerce, whatever, and you're putting in all this work and like the peg is barely not moving, then it's probably time to rethink the approach and what you're trying to do.
Really what you're trying to get to is like in a place where things just happen so fast you can't really keep up with the demand, and you'll know when you hit that, because that's really the product market fit that you're trying to look for. And sometimes you might have a vague idea in the beginning to what that looks like, but once you get there, you'll know, because you won't have anything else to think about than that. And it's just as Mathias said, it's all about trying to find it for yourself.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, do we have any more questions?
No, this was the last one.
Okay. Maybe I can ask a question. So when would you say is the right time for a startup to really switch to the funding part, so to say?
Well, I think there are two schools of thought here. The first one is that if you have a credible background, if you've actually made something in the past, you have perhaps even attracted some funding or built something of great value, then I think that what would make sense is try to find those early angels that could back you with some starting capital, or even find those small pre-seed firms that get you going, basically to build out your idea to a prototype and then to an MVP. The other school of thought is that you'd bootstrap everything yourself, put in your own money, try to build stuff out to a point where you've actually put your prototype or idea into market, and then from there start to attract the larger kind of rounds. But it's most people don't have that opportunity because it's might be your first startup or your first try, and so then it becomes more of a race to try to get as far as possible with the traction that you have before you raise capital. And it's hard to say that there's a clear breaking point when you should actually search actively for it. But I think that if you build something that people enjoy using and you see that you can't really keep up with it anymore, then that's a good indicator that it's worth trying to get some external investment for it. I've seen a lot of startups that try to get funding prematurely. They might just have an idea or a pitch deck and they're trying to raise capital for it. The entire round, first round like that, it becomes about credibility. And if you don't have that kind of credibility or access to investors, it takes a long time to get to a point where you can actually get capital committed to your company. And that means that you need to bootstrap it anyway. So, I mean, what I usually do and what I've done in the past is to just try to build as much as I can myself, do it on a slim budget as possible, using primarily my own money. And then whenever I feel like now I've hit something, the stuff is growing really fast, and I need to spend more time than I have hours on the day, then that's a good place to be in, because then go to investors and say, look, I have all of these people that wants to do or use my product or service. I need some money to be able to sufficiently deliver that value to them. I have tried it for all of these, and we see good progress. Right? And that's a pretty good place to be in, because then you're selling traction, saying that there's an actual need here. So it depends on case to case, but I'd sort of make the case that it's better to just try to bootstrap as long as you can, and make sure that you can build it up to that tipping point, sort of.
Yeah, great.
We have one more question.
Yes. So okay. Did ideas that you had come from problems that you specifically encountered? So I guess in general, like how do we find ideas?
I most of the things that I've built came from but probably more on a technical side. I thought it'd be cool to build this specific widget or this specific service or this specific thing, and I just tried to build it, and then I tried to push it to people to see whether other people thought it was cool or whether it was just bullshit. So I've gone about this from a more technical side of things, and sometimes you'll get disappointed, and then you have to sort of pivot and build something else. But and sometimes it actually sticks. So I'd say that's usually the way that I go about it. But then I know other people that are very successful that finds a very gritty problem or specific problem, and then try to solve for that. And usually that comes from a personal place, right? That you've experienced that in the past, so you sort of know what the process is that is painful and whatnot. And the thing here, right? For me, the first approaches work better because I'm really, really engaged in terms of building it and wanting it for myself, as opposed to trying to help others figure that out. So I mean, it's whatever works for you, I think, is the best approach. No one will tell you that you need to have had this problem personally in order to be able to empathize with be empathic with the users. But it certainly helps in some cases.
Yeah. Thank you so much for so there. Yeah, I think we are done and can wrap this up.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you so much, Simon, talking and great answers. Leave the last word to Kuba here. I see.
Thanks to all the questions in the chat, and a small reminder that you have still more than 24 hours to build your project, so get back to work and good luck.
Cheers.
Bye bye.